All right. Hello, fellow papers, fellow typers, people of every genre. It is Sunday, and for many people in this community, we did not get something that we were expecting. A video from Mr. Gribbs. So my question is, did he die? Is he trying to see how antisocial his antisocial hour, which is usually like 20, 30 minutes, can be? I don't know. I wasn't expecting this to be so hard to light. So if this is a competition for how antisocial we can be, I should probably point out I got married this weekend and I didn't tell any of you. John McCain died. What kind of other crazy stuff happened this weekend? Haven't been watching the news, so I really have no idea what's going on in the world. I had to be told at my wedding that John McCain died. That's how disconnected I've been. So, what am I smoking? I am smoking some Lane 1Q. Let's move the light here. In this really sweet Jirsa Czech Republic made Briar. I wanted to brag about that earlier, but neighbors were doing a bunch of housework and like weird 70s, 80s rock music was taking place in the background, and I really didn't want to get flagged by YouTube again. So I went to my local brick and mortar Friday and decided I was going to get some pipes cleaned up, maybe have a smoke with the guys, whoever the guys happened to be that showed up at the wedding. Didn't really happen. I That was a cheap ass Japanese rice burner. So, anyways, I put together a couple of pipes, and I had this really cool. Like, I don't know if you can really see this. This really cool briar. I believe it's called the Golfer. At least that's what's written on the end of the bowl here. I had this really cool rusticated. Where's this one from? Oscar. Oscar aged briar from Italy. That would have been a fun one. And then this really sweet. I love this one. Has these brass bits that are in it. Has a really cool design. Swiss made Algerian briar. It's from a company called Champion. Um, Apparently, they did some really cool stuff back in the 70s. But I picked up a nice big bag. That's the Lane BCA. Picked up some Lane 1Q. I was smoking this earlier. Da Vinci. That was some fairly expensive but very tasty stuff that I was smoking the last couple days. I was fascinated with the complexity of the taste that was in it. It smelled really good. I was getting all kinds of like back and forth flavors and different things. It's so warm out tonight. The toads are out, and it's amazing watching them like skip across the street. So yeah, Gribley, where are you at? Well, I saw one viewer come and go. That's always a good sign. Somebody stops in and like, oh, this guy's boring as shit. Eh, maybe I am. Ah, Gribs, where are you at? Didn't you get to hear your witty replies to any of my questions that I asked you? No weird stories about your photography business. Interesting story I have. Went to Walmart today. Yes, I said that. Walmart. I felt like I was living in a video game because I turned down one of the main aisles and I look and I see one person in one of those Amigo carts go creeping across the aisle. And then as soon as they reached their aisle, I saw another cart creeping across the aisle. I was like, is this some Mario stuff? Like, do these people just, is there like a timer? Like, do I have to somehow leap across this? Like the old leapfrog game? I don't know. But I was really disappointed. There was a short time period where I got to venture off on my own and try to find something worthwhile buying at Walmart, which didn't happen. So I thought, I'll check out the electronics and stuff like that. I was trying to actually find a tripod for this camera, which of course they didn't have. And then I saw the VR goggle head things, and they were like 12, 15 bucks, something like that. They just put your phone in the front piece. And then I realized I have no idea what the hell this shit's about. I don't know if this is the right goggle. I don't know if it works on my phone. I don't know if I can get my phone to do this VR thing. I'm officially old. I'm so old. I've pretty much been smoking Lane 1Q all weekend. I don't know. Is that a Cadre blend? I also got Lane BCA at the brick and mortar, which I have to say I'm truly impressed with. I do like that blend. I don't know if it rivals 1Q or not, but it was enjoyable. Um, nice, cool smoke, had a lot of flavor to it, smelled really good. There's something visually appealing about a nice, dark tobacco. And I was surprised to find out when I was reading the description later on that it was uh, fermented with smoke through the smoking process, and I'm still learning all this shit. I find that with all the blends that I try, I end up going back to a couple of favorites. Stuff that I tried early on. Of course, Lane 1Q came later in my adventures, but it's very similar to some of the stuff that I got hooked on early with pipe smoking. So I've been doing some research on this pipe. I have not been able to find one like it online. It seems to be like a very small niche of people who order these or hunt these down. And I haven't seen one like this yet. So I don't know if it's like a early design, an early model. Smoke's fantastic. Like, this is probably one of the best smoking pipes I have. I love the design. It's very intricate, very thought out. I had no idea how much it would have cost brand new. It was barely smoked when I got it. So I went to the brick and mortar place on Friday, a couple hours before the wedding. This old guy comes in. I mean, he must have been like in his 80s, 90s, walking with a cane, hunched over. I swear most of his teeth were gone. You know, he had that pointed jaw that just kind of like stuck out. And I was asking the owner of the shop about different blends. And he's like, excuse me, take care of this guy real quick. And I was like, yeah, take your time, that's cool. So this guy who drove to the tobacco place wasn't talking. He's just kind of like, that one right there. And he's like, oh, you went to Prince Albert? And then he saw the new labeling that they have in Prince Albert. He's like, no. He's like, oh, what's over here? So he like moves this chair out of the way from where all the tobacco is on display. Walks a little bit closer, and he's like, ends up getting some Captain Black Gold. He's clearly asking for Prince Albert, and the guy told him this is the same stuff as before. The label changed. Like, apparently, he did not want to be fooled. I remember seeing that guy walking in. I was like, oh, that's like me in 50 years. So, come on, Gribbs, where are you at? What's going on? Did you have some epic wedding that you had to film? Did you get hired for a Kardashian wedding over in the now? Oh shoot, what is that place called? I had my first honeymoon there, Tennessee, Gatlinburg. Did they have a post-apocalyptic Kardashian wedding in Gatlinburg? Shit's all burned down. It looks like Mount St. Helens. That'd be kind of fun. Bride and groom wearing gas masks. Everything's in ash behind them. Holding little Geiger counters. Very nice. Proper wedding. Uh, so, I haven't completely abandoned the Tant Life challenge. I'll be starting that again tomorrow. Things were just very, starting on Friday, things were very different in my life. For one, I didn't have to work Friday because I was getting married. Woke up later than usual. Had things to do, balloons to pick up. This pipe to clean, I'll definitely be keeping this because this is what I smoked on my wedding day. I think this is probably going to be my either my lane 1Q pipe or just my lane limited pipe. I've so far smoked 3 blunts out of this after cleaning it. Mostly lane 1Q. Some BCA. I did smoke the Da Vinci in this, but I think I have to hydrate the Da Vinci. Surprise! It's just a live feed. No big deal. Bugs are definitely out. Got to like 90 degrees today, just out of the blue. It's been in the 70s all freaking week. Then it was super cloudy yesterday. Like it either wanted to snow or just downpour some rain, neither one of which happened. Wake up today and it's hot, muggy, sunny, but like 90 degrees, no breeze. Thankfully, yesterday was the hangover. So, where we had our wedding, it's a small microbrew downtown Kalamazoo, which I work at very part-time. I'm only paid in beer. It's not bad. Not bad at all. I can understand how the pyramids were built now. So I get paid in beer, which means I get these punch cards. Each punch card is worth 12 beers. So I save these things up, right? I might have a couple beers on a weekend, but for the most part, the 12 beers aren't going anywhere, right? By the time our wedding happened, I had 204 beers saved up. Now, you also consider that a normal sized beer, a pint, big pint, is like $5, right? That's a lot of beer. So out of the 204, we only ended up using 72, which I thought was really interesting. We had the ceremony, people were getting beers beforehand, and everything started about a half hour late. I figured at least double would have been used, right? Like 100, 150, something like that. Somewhere around there, right? It had like 60 plus people there. by the time like everybody filtered out, uh, it was like I think 60 some beers were on the tab, and that wasn't including like people who just got sodas, things like that. So then one of my best friends and I, we hung out at the bar. It was almost like our wedding turned into a double date, and we killed like 12 more beers. And that was that was kind of like the more memorable, not memorable. How do I want to explain it? So, I mean, there was a ceremony, right? We did our vows and we signed the papers and everything, all the important stuff. But I feel like it's the people who stick around afterwards that really say a lot about who you are and what's important. And then what was really cool was later on, it was just before we got to leave, right? And I bought all this tobacco. I brought all these pipes, thinking like I'd be able to at some point sit outside with the guys and like shoot the shit and have a nice pleasant smoke and relax, and that was the goal. But for the most part, a lot of people just they had to leave, and this group of guys came down, right? And apparently they heard that there was a wedding happening, so they wanted to go down and see it. So they come down and they're kind of looking around. And they're like, "Oh, this is really cool." And one of the guys is like, he sees this typewriter that I brought. It was an Underwood 4-bank, and if you're interested to know what that looks like, look up Jack Kerouac's typewriter that he used for On the Road because it's the same model. So he sees it and he's like, "That's really cool. That's analog. You know, more people should be doing that." I mean, think of all the memories, the stuff that people typed up on there tonight. That's amazing. So we chatted for that about that for a few minutes, and then he just like out of the blue mentioned that his pipe somehow broke or got damaged, or he was like really upset. He only had the one pipe, and I was like, "You are in the right spot." I mean, like, this is really fortunate for you. And he's like, "Oh, what?" So I get out one of my business cards. And of course, it says typewriter repair, writer, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't say anything about pipes. But I said, I was just in this town called Middlebury. And I stopped at this place. I ended up getting over a dozen pipes for $8 a piece. I was like, they're all really expensive. They're all really nice. They just need to be cleaned up and polished and everything. And I said, get a hold of me. We can get together sometime, figure out what pipe is best for you, what you like, and go from there. He's like, "Oh, cool." And I showed him this guy, which was from that batch, and he just gawked at it like, "That's amazing." So we were chatting for a bit, and he was asking me like what places in town because he goes to Western Michigan University, and he said, "Where can I get really good tobacco, like pipe tobacco?" I was telling him, "Well, the place downtown doesn't sell it anymore." I told him about Smokes on Burdick, and he was asking what kind of blends they sell there, and I was listing off some of the ones I got that day. And he was like, "Where can I get some really good English blends?" And I was like, maybe you can get Smokes on Burdick to order some. He really likes the English blends. And when I mentioned Lane 1Q and the BCA and a few of the others that they carry there, he was like, no, I'm looking for English. And I was like, smokingpipes.com. And in reality, that's going to be the cheapest bargain for him. So, this is probably the most antisocial hour I have seen on YouTube. Nobody else is here. That's sad. So moving on to typewriters, because this is Type and Piper. We're not just going to talk about pipes. We're going to talk about typing. On shopgoodwill.com, I came across, now, not necessarily cool for me. I'm not really into electric typewriters. But I did see a very early, very cool IBM electric I'd never seen before. And it was so unique and so cool in how it looked. I contacted, oh shit, what's his name? The guy who does the Typewriter Revolution. I'm going to totally blank on it. So I contacted the guy from that website through Instagram and I said, hey, just so you know, this really early IBM electric popped up on this website. You might want to check it out. Starting bid was like $10. And from the photos, it looked really cool. But he said in his response that from his experience, Goodwill was not reliable in safely shipping typewriters. And even though it looked cool, he was going to pass on it. I'm sure as shit not going to buy it. Because I bought one over 2 weeks ago. It was an Underwood, is it Model 5? It was from the 60s. It looked really cool. To me, it looked really cool. A lot of people thought it was just plain, unattractive. And some of the reviews that I saw on YouTube said that it's a really smooth machine, it types really well. The only thing they don't like about it is that some of the parts are plastic. The usual complaint for anything built after 1950. But I just thought that this machine looked actually like really sweet for what it was. And for the most part, Underwood didn't change how their typewriters were designed for the longest time. Of course, they would switch to plastic and stuff later on, but I didn't think the quality would go down that much. So I ended up getting this machine for like $10. And 2 weeks later, I still haven't gotten a notification that it shipped. And the one before that shipped, the We Are Memories from the Michaels brand, that took almost 2 weeks for that to ship. And of course, when I got it, there was no problems from the shipping. It was obviously stuff that was from the manufacturer. I also suspect that it was probably a return to the store that had been donated to Goodwill, which I still have to fix. I haven't had time this weekend yet, so maybe this week I'll get to that. But I'm really looking forward to this Royal finally being delivered. It looked practically brand new in the website. It's just when I sent them a message about the Michaels typewriter, uh, they said, we're sorry, we're really behind in our shipments, blah, blah, blah. Hey, that's cool. But don't have me waiting so long that I start to wonder, did I really buy something? Did I just donate a bunch of money to Goodwill? Like, what's going on here? So the wedding was pretty cool. Um, Even though it seemed like it was jam-packed with people, um, it was still small, which is what we wanted. Both of us had previous weddings that were fairly large, like over 100 people. Um, a substantial amount of money was paid, and the second time around, it's like you really know what's important, what you want. Um, my advice to anybody getting married: what is important to you, and if anybody else complains, it's not their wedding. One of the things that frustrated me the first time around was the amount of consideration that happened for other people. And that really irritated me as the groom. I remember at one point, we figured out what we wanted for the cake, right? The cake, like the big one, right? And then there was this discussion about the groom's cake, and I was like, what the hell is a groom's cake? I never heard of this before. I didn't know it was a thing. Um, but they kept saying, like, no, you need to have a second cake that the groom picks out, which of course is just a sheet cake. It's like whatever the groom wants to have on it. And that ended up being like a whole, it was like this weird debacle. So I finally caved in and said, fine, this is what I want. This is what I want for the cake, the frosting, blah, blah, blah. This is what I want on top of it. And the way I looked at it was, okay, we're having all these people here. If they don't like what's on our cake, fine. It's more cake for us, right? I just felt like the groom's cake was just another excuse to spend more money. We didn't even have cake this time, which was awesome. There's nobody shoving a piece of cake in somebody else's face. There wasn't like any of that bullshit. The guy who was doing the food for our wedding this time around um, on Friday, like we just told him, you know what, have fun with it. We want some pizzas. We want this. We want that. But like, get creative. Like, have fun with it. Because he works at one of the, I would say one of the better restaurants downtown. So the guy has experience. He knows how to cook. So he did these really awesome um, salads. And you hear salad and you think, oh, that's shit. You know, that's. But no, this was like really good food. He made the dressing for it. He condensed down some beer and he infused that with some of the salad dressing. We had these apricot torts and blueberry torts. The blueberry torts, oh my god! So everything was locally sourced, and down here we have a ton of blueberry farms. So we get some really nice fresh stuff, right? But then he puts this whipped cream stuff on top of the blueberry torts that has uh, it's infused with lavender. He put some of the lavender beer in there. He also put little pieces of mint, which I wouldn't think that mint and blueberry went well together. And I'm totally wrong. That was amazing. So the food was spectacular. There's a couple of pizzas that RJ, I'm going to name the cook because the cook deserves a shout out. So RJ made this really fantastic pizza. And we're talking a couple of different, I think it was like 3 different types of pizza. One of them had sausage from a local place called Use Guys Sausage. Use, yeah, like Jersey. So they make this amazing sausage. That was on one of the pizzas. Phenomenal. Then he brought out this, I thought it was like a spicy nacho, but apparently it was listed as like some type of cream sauce on the pizza. It tasted like a spicy nacho sauce with some beer also infused in that. I took one bite of that later on in the wedding when everyone else's stuff. This pizza came out, and I was like, oh my god, I'm eating this. I'm eating all of this. So he was talking about one of the pizzas going on the main menu and being like not a permanent feature. There's not anything that really stays permanently at the brewery except for some of the beers. But that pizza, that was phenomenal. The bartender we had, she was amazing. She got a nice tip. Um, Said that she was like excited about fixing her car. Some parts that she hadn't been able to afford to replace recently. So basically, it was small. The ceremony was quick. I got to hang out with the people we wanted to hang out with. When you're pushing 40 years old, you pretty much know like what's important. Hopefully by that time, you think you would know by then. Oh, and that is spent. I don't know, people. Should I have another bowl? I haven't smoked this guy yet. Although I'm afraid, is he gonna set my beard on fire? Seems to be like a small draw. Has a really small uh, hole on the end of this. I have never smoked this pipe. But I knew the moment that I bought it, I was like, oh, this is too cool. I've never seen one of these before. This is a Dasco. I have never heard of Dasco. I don't know if this is popular uh, pipe. I don't know if it's expensive. I just know it looks cool. So you think I should break this in? Let's try some of this Lane BCA. So there is a site on WordPress that I follow called Reborn Pipes. And this guy, for being a blog, this guy posts at least once a day. Sometimes he'll post maybe it's every other day. At least when I check WordPress, which is where his site is at. He's got a couple new posts on there, pipes that he's worked on. And he goes step by step. He shows like how he cleans them, the sandpaper that he uses to polish it, the pipes, the repairs that he does. I mean, he'll take pipes that have like a nice big crack down the bowl. He'll fill it in, fix it up, get it working again. It's actually, some of the work that he does is pretty amazing. I thought this was going to have a bad draw on it, but it has a tiny bowl on it. But it's working really well. So apparently this is the Lane BCA from what I read. It's not toasted Cavendish, but it is Cavendish that is smoked. And this might be a better pipe for a blend like that. So you're probably wondering, honeymoon. Wow, you had a 3-day weekend. You go back to work tomorrow. So next month we do go up north. The little one's coming with us. But I'm like one of the few Michiganders that has never really been to the UP. As a kid, as a kid, we went. I went with my parents across the bridge. Um, on the other side is where we took a ferry to Mackinac Island. which is a very popular tourist destination. I don't really remember it too much. I remember a bunch of fudge places. They had the Budweiser horses going down the street with the um, the carriage carrying a bunch of. I'm guessing they are probably empty barrels. Looking back on that, there's this thing called Skull Rock, which was very unimpressive. The one thing I thought was cool as a kid was the old French fort that was there. Back then, they also had a bunch of hotels that it was like a hotel, but it had teepees that were set up that you could rent, which I thought was even at that time I thought it was really weird. Because I learned as a kid that Michigan Indians, Native Americans, had wigwams and not teepees. That was a thing on the Great Plains, which we are not a part of. Everyone was riding bikes because cars aren't allowed. You know, that's kind of cool. I thought the ferry ride itself was, as a kid, that was something I thought was pretty exciting. It was a hydrofoil ferry. So it was really fast. It rode above the water. It was a two double deck boat. So there's a lower level you could stay on, or you could ride on the top, which, you know, as the boat goes like up on the water, you feel really high. But I never saw Lake Superior. I never really saw any of the culture of the UP. The first pasty that I ever ate was actually in town here from, um, oh crap, what's that place called? Not Top Dog, not Big Dog, something dog, downtown. I don't go there too much anymore. They don't like make their own beer or anything. It's just a bar, and you know they have a lot of shows there and stuff. But the cook there is from the UP, and he makes these pasties. There's like three or four different ones you can get. So it's pretty much what they have up north. I read of I read all of Hemingway's short stories last year, and there was the Two Hearted River Part One and Part Two, which we're planning on stopping at and seeing. I haven't decided if I'm going to bring any hunting or not hunting, fishing gear or not. Probably should just in case. I have a license. So basically, we want to see some of the breweries. We want to see some of the culture, some of the antique shops. I also read some of Jim Harrison's. I read like half of his books just before he died. Then I got really depressed after he passed away because I was reading all these stories, and the last two books I read were the last two books that he had published before he died. So he had spent quite a few years up north. He knew a lot about the Native American culture up there. Heard a lot about that, about the copper mines. Um, he definitely had a very good understanding of what rural culture in Michigan was about. So I just got a notification that my battery is low. And this has been a really antisocial hour for a live video nobody is viewing, which really makes it antisocial. I'll probably get done with this and find out Gribley posted his video. And guess what? I was busy doing this one, and I have to charge my phone, so I don't get to watch it. So on that note, as you can tell, I'm not hitting myself. I'm like having a lot of bugs coming after me. So in the meantime, take care of yourselves. This has been a very antisocial live feed for almost an hour. I think I might have beat Gribley's longest video. So in the meantime, take care of yourselves and keep on typing.